Hello, magical people. Welcome back to another episode of our new weekly show, As Above, So Below. My name is Meg Moonbeam, and I'm very happy to be here with my magical co-host, Ashala. Hello, Ashala. How are you?
Hi, Meg. I'm doing pretty well, hanging in there, rolling with all the changes, rolling with all the wildness.
Yeah, yeah, I feel it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
most definitely. Most
Feeling
definitely.
the same, and have been really looking forward today to coming on with you and doing the show because you've got just such an amazing energy and positive vibe, and I love doing this new show with you. So was really looking forward to this, as I think a lot of us out there are having some challenging things come up. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Shocks, some surprises, some challenges.
Mhm.
Eclipse season, day before the eclipse. So before we get into the content of our show today, as always, you guys, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Beyond Mystic YouTube, Rumble, and X channels as well. And if you'd like to have a personal reading with Ashala or myself, those are available over at consultations.beyondmystic.net. The link is in the description box of this video. And are you noticing, Ashala, in your readings, is there anything that's coming up as a theme at the moment with people, or any significant questions that you're getting from a lot of people at this time?
Well, I want to say, Meg, and we were chatting about this just briefly before we came on,
Yeah.
that there are, I have had clients in the last few days that have been through the storms that are in, the southeast.
Yeah.
And they're having various different experiences around loss and the
Mm,
anxiety that that journey took them on. I think that there's a lot of collective anxiety, and there seems to be both this kind of like tear down of like, oh my gosh, I feel so pushed, so much unexpected. And, Meg, you and I were talking about like, it's sort of that what we call perfect storm,
right.
in the world of counseling and that spiritual work, is that it's sort of like when it rains, it pours, pardon the pun, but it's just like so much circulating at the same time, so much in the media, so much. And yeah, I mean, we've been saying this for several years in a row, and you astrologers have been predicting, hey, folks, I know it's a lot, but guess what? It's going to even get a bit bigger.
Mm,
And that people are sort of at that point. But what's beautiful to witness is that it's like, what happens beyond that point? And I've been seeing people say, I didn't think I would ever be able to handle something like this, but I'm actually realizing that it's helping me let go of stuff that is no longer relevant. It's helping me clear myself in some way, prepare for something else. And it, like, people are finding new strengths.
yeah.
So I don't know if you've been seeing that as well, and if that's reflected in the astrology.
Hmm. Definitely. And I think that's such a good point that you bring up, Ashala. And we were kind of talking about this a little bit before we went live. Like, when we can have really big challenges that come up, it's actually, in my personal opinion, initiations to up level us.
Mhm.
Right. So up leveling, real up leveling into an even greater version. And it's not about needing to be perfect, right? It's not like spiritual bypassing. We need to be perfect and not have an ego. No, to get to the next level of our consciousness, of our beingness, our spiritual development,
Mhm.
challenge is a part of that here
It
on this planet
sure is.
duality. And as you said, the astrology has been showing, intuitive and mystics like yourself have been showing that these are really intense and challenging times where we're
Mhm.
all being up leveled. And for some people, like with the storms, I haven't talked to anybody personally that's been going through it, but yeah, it looks really, really wild
Yeah,
uh, and intense. So we're sending lots of positive energy and prayers to
definitely.
everyone being affected by Hurricane. Is it Helene or Helen?
I'm not even sure. I'm
Helene
not even
or
sure.
Helen, you guys know what I mean.
Yeah.
And this is something that actually I've talked about the past year, with Saturn and Neptune currently in Pisces right now. This is astrology for really bad hurricanes, storms, floods, issues with the oceans. Pisces rules the oceans, the
Mhm.
water, the rain. So if you, and I'm not trying to promote fear or anything like that, but just saying from my heart to your heart, you guys, if you live in an area where, there can be hurricanes over the next 2 years, just being prepared as best as possible for that, because it's pretty gnarly astrology for that. So I'm sorry to everyone that's going through those storms right now.
Absolutely. And it's so interesting because this client that I was working with, in the last couple of days was saying that it's so hard to know because there's different intel coming in, the storm happening, it's not happening. Is it directed energy weapons? It's not directed energy weapons. And so she was like, and then, people in the area saying, oh no, these kinds of things don't happen here. And so anyway, this particular person did lose some things, and she said, looking back, that almost she wished she would have just gone a bit more, sort of almost like hedging her bets and not playing both sides, but just saying, it's hard to know really what exactly is going to. I mean, I feel this is part of what's going on that can really psych us out, is that just as soon as we start leaning into this narrative, something happens over here that kind of tilts us off. And there's that Libran energy, right? And it's so, it feels like the Libra is saying, okay, let's not play it safe, but let's just hedge our bets a bit and a bit play on both sides, right? It's not about being like, totally acquiescing to one narrative or the other. It's just a little bit about going, gosh, there's still a lot of uncertainty. There's still things that we can't necessarily predict exactly which way it's going to go. Energy is always, timelines are always unfolding. There's always, the reemergence of the new options coming out. And so it's just using common sense as well, right?
Yeah, totally. That's so well said. Do you think it would be fitting, Ashala, for you to do a little reading on whether it's the hurricane situation or just maybe like a general pull for all of us on what's kind of going on, what's kind of the spiritual guidance for the current energies? I've been seeing a lot of people saying, like you said, they're feeling anxiety, they're feeling fogginess, and they don't even know where it's coming from.
Yeah. Okay. So if we're looking at, here's us feeling a little bit protective, right? We're a little bit like kind of, again, sometimes when this card comes up, and I feel that at this time, it is about saying, it's okay to feel a bit protective. It's okay to sort of, there's a time to kind of wrap yourself up in a blanket of protection, not in a super, super anxious, negative way, but to be erring a little bit on the side of caution. Okay, yeah. So and there's also a feeling of the emerging. So on the one hand, we're being cautious, and I just hear like we're not tempting fate. We're not saying, oh, nothing's going to happen. Because this woman she was saying that a little bit, she was listening to the back channels and going, oh, it's not going to really turn out to be much of anything. And then she felt a little bit betrayed, not by necessarily anyone in particular or whatever was predicted, but just by her own sort of need to go onto one side or the other. And basically, it's like, it's almost like we are basically playing it a little bit safe right now. And yet there's a real feeling of we may lose some of the little battles, but we're definitely winning the war, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
Yeah. And here we've got the past, this feels like what just happened.
Wow.
But it also, as you were saying, Meg, it's almost like what I'm hearing from the astrologers is something has to happen.
Yes.
If it's not a storm or the economy or something, these kinds of energies in the collective, atmospherically, in the energy of what we need to grow as humans, something is going to happen. Yeah, so it feels that was the something happening, the Tower, recent past. And now we can kind of feel a bit psyched out or discouraged. But it also lights a fire under us. Sort of like when we come out of the fog, you were talking about feeling really spacey and the fog and stuff, all that Pisces energy. When we come out of that, we're clear. And that's what I'm hearing with these people that have been going through all this. They're saying, you know what, it really helped me get clear in myself. And it also really, you see who your friends are, you see who your good neighbors are, you see the strength in your community, you see the weak spots. Oh yeah, look at this. Oh, like it will actually, in the long run, these teardowns are creating almost like an invitation. They're an invitation for an up-leveled new, I want to say, foundation that is built on the values that we have. So this is a great turning point opportunity.
Wow. That's very, very powerful. And whenever we get that tower, that's a big deal. That's a big, big deal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. So thank you for that, Ashala. So in today's show, we're going to talk a bit on the eclipse that we're going to have tomorrow, new moon solar eclipse in Libra. We'll talk about that for the collective. We'll also do readings for each of the elemental signs. So the earth, air, fire, having a brain fart, and water signs. And also, if we've got time, if anybody has any questions about anything for the collective, or maybe even specifically around relationships, because the sign of Libra that this eclipse is happening in is very much about our relationships, our commitments, feel free to ask away, and I'll star some of the questions, and we'll get to that later in the show. So, Ashala, how have you been feeling? I know we talked about this a bit last week. We've been in eclipse season for the past few weeks, but how have you been kind of progressing through this eclipse season? We're now almost near the end. We got new moon solar eclipse tomorrow. Have you been noticing any big life changes in your life? Do you have any major placements in Libra being affected by this eclipse?
That's a very good question. I better have a session with Meg Moonbeam and find that out more specifically. I do have a Libra rising.
Ooh.
So that certainly will be impacted. Gosh, yes, I want to say it feels almost for me like there's a sense of being pulled back, like held back in certain ways, and then almost like propelled forward, like catapulted forward. So it's this like hold back, hold back, hold back, like a whole bunch of things, options closing, things not working, things getting like skewed and like back. And then all of a sudden it's like I get thrown forward and I'm like, whoa. That's been my experience over this eclipse season.
Wow, that I can really relate to that. I think I've been, I don't have any major, sun, moon, rising or inner placements, but my Jupiter is in Libra, which is interesting. And I've been having really big, Chrissy says, hi, Chrissy. That's exactly it, Ashala. Yeah. I've been having major shocks and surprises and things coming out of left field. And I always got to laugh at myself because, and I'm sure you can sometimes relate to this, Ashala, when we're working with people and doing readings, sometimes we say similar things a lot of the time outwards to people. And then when it applies to us, it's like, oh, of course that was going to happen. Like, I'm not just speaking out to people. I'm also in this world too, in a human world too. So, eclipse seasons can be really unexpected life turning points. And I've been noticing big time people from my past coming up out of nowhere in every aspect, in my dreams, messaging me in person. I had a situation last week where I bumped into an ex-boyfriend out of nowhere that I hadn't seen for a long time. Just all these people coming back from the past. And when I've been saying that in the daily astro shows the past week, a lot of people in the live chat saying, yeah, I have people from my past coming up as well out of nowhere in dreams, in person, in messages. Is that something, Ashala, that you've had happen at all?
Yeah, not so much in like 3D world, but definitely in dream time.
Right.
Definitely in dream time. I've been seeing people from my past. That's interesting.
That
Hmm.
Yeah, it is really interesting. And in the astrology, the South Node is in Libra right now, and we have the Sun conjunct the South Node. Last week we talked about that. So it's interesting because it's a new moon eclipse in Libra, which is new beginnings, fresh new energy, but it's with the South Node at the same time. So there's a little bit of a paradox, if you will, where I'm noticing that too. People are going through big releases, but there's also really big new things coming to their lives as well. So as you were saying, sometimes big challenges have to come up to knock us out into the new, so to speak.
Definitely.
PJ says, Meg, yes, 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 dreams and in real time, people from the past.
Yeah.
Wow, a lot of people saying that. Ashala, would you mind doing a collective pull for us on this new moon solar eclipse in Libra? What is in store for us with this?
Yeah, and this is tomorrow, yes, Meg, is that right? What time is it tomorrow, generally speaking?
Tomorrow at 2:49 p.m. Eastern. So around
2:49 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so I'm going to pull 3 cards on this.
okay.
Patience, grounding, and work. Interesting. 2 pentacle cards, 2 pentacles here. And the Empress. Interesting. That's all very, very, I want to say, earth-based. So there's something about, like, if somebody came to me for a reading and these 3 cards came up as general information for them, I would say it's time to get off the fence, stop sitting on your butt,
Yeah.
and put something in motion practically about what you've been like. It's almost like that Libran, being on the fence, like, I don't know, or is this the right time, or shouldn't I, that sort of thing. It's sort of like they're saying, what's the worst that can happen? Like, just start practically applying something. And then this is like being really, I want to say, the opportunity for us to really grow in terms of, the Empress is all about our resources. She's about, like, we have enough food, we have enough water, we have abundance. She's so much about abundance. She's like the earth mother, mother nature. She's also about nature. So there's something about what we do, how we set in motion a new application around putting putting our money where our mouth is, putting our, like, actually investing in the things that we believe in and doing something physically about it. That's kind of what I'm getting, that this new moon activation is really about. So I don't know how that relates to the astrology.
Well, that definitely relates to the astrology because Libra is one of the 2 signs, and Libra is the sign that the eclipse is happening in. Libra is ruled by Venus and is associated with the Empress.
There's the Venus symbol right there.
Venus.
Yeah.
So everything you just said, Ashala, totally. And also, I've been really feeling with this eclipse, yes, we can set intentions around new relationships coming into our life, business, Libra can rule those things, but it's also pleasure and enjoyment, which is very much the Empress.
Yes, interesting. Well, and who's to say that investing in the things that we know to be aligned with our true values aren't going to be enjoyable and pleasurable? In fact, it's almost like that's part of the prerequisite, is we're not just going to do jobs or put our money or time and energy into things just for money or for, some down the road, like, reward. This is like instant reward, basically.
Wow.
It's like we're going to apply ourselves, and we're going to apply ourselves in a way that isn't just about some way long away in the future, return on our investment. This is about like right away. It feels good to be doing whatever we're doing.
I love that. That is so cool. And that reaffirms the chart for sure, which I'll bring up and share with you guys. This is our chart for tomorrow's eclipse. And a lot of you guys have heard me talk about this quite a bit already. So I'll just share some of the main key points of this. New moon solar eclipses have an effect for the whole next year. When we have full moon lunar eclipses, they have an effect for the whole next 6 months. So we're actually in this chart influence for not just tomorrow, not just the next couple weeks in the eclipse season, but the whole next year. It's for us, as you said, Ashala, to be not just putting the intentions out and not just doing a meditation, which yes, those things work, but like you were getting with all of those are earth-based cards, right? The pentacles and the Empress. Put in the work towards what you want your intentions to be, right? And that makes total sense because in this chart, we've got Venus, who's the ruler of Libra, what we call the dispositor of the Libra eclipse, in a beautiful trine to Saturn. So I'll show you guys here. I'll just hover my mouse here so you guys can see it. This is Venus, Scorpio, in a trine to Saturn at 14 degrees of Pisces. Saturn is about practicality, the earth, hard work, not just work, but also like hard work. And when we put in that work, like you said, we get repaid.
Yes.
Right. And I love this Venus trine Saturn, kind of like what you were saying. It doesn't have to be that hard. If you just do it, you will get the rewards.
Definitely.
I think this is an amazing next year period for not just calling in soulmate relationships. There's going to be a lot of new love relationships, lots of changes in people's love life, work relationship, client relationship, a lot coming up in our personal relationships. But again, it's also bringing more pleasure and enjoyment to our lives. And what area should we bring more pleasure is wherever we have Libra in our charts. And we'll go through that with each of the signs.
Cool. Very cool. Yay.
So it's not a heavy eclipse, but I will say as well that Black Moon Lilith is exactly conjunct this eclipse. And Black Moon Lilith is not a planet or an asteroid. She's the calculated point of the farthest away point of the moon's orbit from Earth.
Oh, okay.
So she represents, Lilith is an ancient goddess about the dark feminine, sexuality. She has a light side, but she's also got a bit of a scary dark side, and can be associated with affairs and our shadow and temptation. So I feel like with this eclipse being at 10 degrees, at Capricorn degree, politicians and Libra also associated with politicians, we're going to have huge scandals, I think, having to do with sex. We're already kind of having it with the P. Diddy thing that just came out. But I think that that's really just not even like the tip of the iceberg. It's going to be even more prominent people. And this is even showing also with Mercury conjunct this eclipse, and Mercury rules information, news, gossip, that there could be like a very big publicly televised court over the course of the next year.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, right? I mean, I'm just hearing that as above, so below, or like it's like sort of like out on the world stage, and it's for all of us to see how that impacts us individually, like any parts of our own lives where there has been maybe scandal in the past or whatever, it's like it's we get to witness outside of us things that we have an opportunity, an invitation to learn from.
Yeah, definitely. I love what DigiBean has said here. Hi, DigiBean. Says lots of relationships ending, so makes room for many new relationships. That is so, I know people say that a lot, at least I hear people saying that a lot, but it's so true. It's so true. If we are just in a relationship where we're kind of settling, right? Just being in that vibration of settling, that is a huge energetic block.
Yeah.
Right. So as we let go of love relationship, work relationship, whatever committed relationship, it is like you're saying, Digibeen, totally. It makes way for new, also not just relationships, but abundance, enjoyment,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And I would say possibly that relationships that come in this next year, right? You're talking about a lot of new relationships, that they may be connected somehow to bringing our tangible, physically manifest some of our dreams, our goals, our values, whether it's like, our work, our new connections with finances and what we're investing in, what kind of businesses we're involved in, and that energy of, the abundance, but working from your value system, not waiting for someone else to do it, and that these relationships may grow from a shared desire to do that. So they may be very, sometimes you see in readings where new relationships are coming in, and there's a personal karmic destiny and there's the personal weave, but there's also kind of like a shared, almost like a project or work that you're going to do together. So I would speculate there could be something about relationships are going to be very much connected to what we're doing physically, tangibly, with our livelihoods, what we're investing in, and even related to how we are in, our relationship to nature and the land and resources and things like that. So could be that that's part of our relationships, new relationships starting this year.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think you're on to something, Ashala.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yes. Shall we go through each of the elemental signs? Some readings. Before we get into that, I want to mention, you guys, that we've currently got this week a sale on Jens's empath course that he put out. 50% off with promo code BALANCE50, all in one word. And this is a great course that he's just put out to help us sweet, sensitive souls, intuitive empaths that are very sensitive to energies during these times, how to navigate balance, boundaries, and beingness. Really great course. I'm not just saying it because Jens is my husband. I've been taking part and been even learning some new things myself. So you can go check that out over on the Beyond Mystic Academy.
Right.
So why don't we start with, let's see, who do I have here? Our fire signs for this new moon solar eclipse in Libra. What fire signs? And I'm going to highlight the signs here. So if you guys don't know the element of your sign, that'll be up here on the screen.
Okay, fire signs, here we go. Laying it down for you this week. Balance. Balancing. This is a card that has to do with not forcing decisions, sort of staying in a calm, neutral place. Interesting that it connects to the new moon, this card as well. So that's very interesting. In the present, very curious. So something to do with, Hierophant is really about the values. It can be a lot about the values that you've been raised with. And it could be that you are maybe even recalibrating a little bit and reassessing your personal values, your traditional values, your spiritual values. And it's a lot about like what we give our power to in the system. And there's something interesting. We'll see what the last card is. We're back to a very practical, next step card. The the Knight of Pentacles. He's just about like getting stuff done, being very, very practical, very, sort of step by step. So this is an interesting one because it could be even that you are making peace with some institutions or organizations that still really have power over you or hold your kind of like, they're showing me like your values are still being sort of like held somehow by these systems. And you might be walking away from some of that this week, fire signs. You might be saying, you know what? I've had enough of that. I'm going to go off in my own direction at this point and step away a little bit, like going off grid from some of the systems. So that's very interesting.
That is very interesting. So that's the Two of Swords, the Hierophant, and the
Knight of Pentacles.
and the Knight of Pentacles. Wow, those
Yeah.
super interesting cards. Well, astrologically, for the fire signs, you guys are having this new moon solar eclipse at 10 degrees of Libra happen in the air elemental houses.
Mm-hmm.
So Aries are having this in the 7th house of Libra, Leos are having this eclipse in the 3rd house of Gemini, and Sagittariuses are having this eclipse in the 11th house of Aquarius. And the air elemental houses are about relationships, social ability, and information. So that's interesting, Ashalis, because you said there could be like a letting go of, was belief system the term that you said there?
Yeah. Well, yes, belief system is definitely part of that. Like I would call this almost like societal consensus reality or something like that. Like definitely belief system. So that's interesting. And then almost like in a stubborn way saying, I'm going my own way. Like,
yeah.
And maybe even pulling some of your resources out of those systems.
Wow.
So that's interesting because he's a pentacle guy. And yeah, that's very curious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is interesting. So that kind of makes sense in the sense that Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, sun and risings in particular, we can also listen to our moon sign for eclipses, but most importantly, the rising in the sun, your relationships at this moment, because this eclipse is happening in the air elemental houses. You know, 7th house is our love, work relationships. 3rd house is our friendships, siblings, cousins. And 11th house is also friends, but more like-minded community, like-minded people in our lives. As you let go, it feels like there may be belief systems that are tied to the people that they're surrounded with. And because this eclipse is conjunct the South Node, like I was saying before, it's like a calling in a new energy coming through, but also letting go at the same time. So fire signs, you may be noticing that there's new people coming into your life, significant new people, not just a random, neighbor, but significant relationships at the same time as major ones coming to an ending point. And, our beliefs are important. What we believe does, I think, manifest our reality. And we don't necessarily have to have people in our lives that believe exactly what we believe. But I'm also feeling around, if you've got people around you that don't respect you, fire signs, for who you are, and I'm assuming most of you guys are kind of woo-woo like us, kind of weirdos, right? That can affect our energetic bodies. That can affect us on every level. Is that something, Ashala, and I'll just bring it to you for a moment. Have you ever had that experience of like anyone in your life kind of making fun of you or thinking that you're crazy for being in the woo? And how did you kind of navigate that?
It's sort of funny that you're asking me that, Meg, because I went through that for so many years. And it's like, I don't know. I don't think I developed a thick skin. I think I just developed an incredible inner fire that sort of blasted all that away. And definitely now that I'm in my older age, middle to older age, it really doesn't faze me in the least. If anything, it's so interesting. There's a point you get to where you really actually prove to yourself that you're in it for the real reasons. You're in it for the long haul. And then most of that critique stops and you get the opposite. People are like, wow, how have you done this? Or how do you know all this? Or where did you get all this? And how do you do this? And it's like, you get actually almost the opposite. You get like the reverence from people, which is also not like really real or ideal either, right? It's like, we're neither crazy nor are we super powerful, all-knowing beings. We are people that have navigated just based on like this real deep inner knowing of what feels right and what doesn't feel right. and sticking by that. It's really having the stick-to-itiveness. And to me, that is where we prove ourselves in the spiritual realm, is that we just don't give up. And it doesn't matter what people say, because in the end, it's not about like it's just you and your creator. It's right. The final judgment is not going to be you with X, Y, and Z. It's going to be,
That's so funny. That's so true. And people are really resonating with what you're saying in the comments. So thank you guys so much it's so much when you comment with us live and we can have a dialogue together live. So we love that so much. So yeah, fire signs, that's what we've got for you. And we're wishing you a very happy new moon eclipse. And now we'll move to the earth signs.
Okay. Laying down the first card for our earth signs is fiery. So activation, courage, creativity. Oh, we got 2 queens. Wow. So we got fire and water here. I don't know why all of a sudden my camera got a little bit. There we go. Hopefully there, got focused. We got fire and water and basically throwing caution to the wind. So, when we see 2 of a kind, it's mastery. So this is mastering your like feminine side, earth signs. And the 2 feminine aspects is this creativity, this like she's a bit of a wild character, this Queen of Wands. She's not afraid, exactly what you just said, Meg, about being like, she's definitely woo. She's totally not afraid of just letting it all hang out and like, who cares? Who cares what people think? She's about living her truth. This Queen of Cups, she's like the quintessential empath. She feels everything. She's processing everything deeply emotionally. And then the Fool is just like, let it all go. So it feels like for earth signs, there could be quite a lot of like processing this week around feeling courage to live your true colors. And then also really feeling a lot of emotion around what comes up for you. I mean, I think earth signs tend to like often, not, it's a gross generalization, but they tend to play it safe, right?
Yeah.
So I think for them to just go, I'm throwing caution to the wind. There's 2 throwing caution to the wind cards here. And I'm going to live my wild self. It's going to probably bring up some emotion for our earth signs. They're going to be like feeling a lot. They're going to be feeling a lot because they're unleashing a part of themselves that is free.
Wow. That is so cool. Thank you for that. Awesome. So yeah, with the astrology for our lovely earth signs, and wow, we've got a lot of earth signs here in the comments with us. You guys are having this new moon solar eclipse at 10 degrees Libra happen in the earth elemental houses. So your own houses. Taurus, sun, moon, and risings are having the eclipse in the 6th house of Virgo ruled areas of life. Wow. Virgos are having it in the 2nd house, Taurus ruled areas of life, and Capricorn in the 10th house, the house of Capricorn. Sorry, I made a typo there. It should say house of Capricorn, not house of Aquarius.
Wow.
Yeah. So the earth elemental houses are all about, like you said, kind of safety, playing it safe, our material resources, the matrix in a way, work, income, responsibility. So really interesting that that's such an interesting mix of the tarot cards that came through.
Well, I'm just wondering if there couldn't be some kind of homeopathic effect for these earth signs. Do you think that's possible, Meg? Like where a little bit of their own medicine makes them go,
yeah,
whoa, right?
Yeah. Like I think that's such a good point, Ashala, because what I'm noticing right now is, and every sign can get made fun of in different ways in astrology, but I've noticed being, astrologer, coming from a family of astrologers, like the earth signs can kind of be made fun of for, oh, they're just boring, or they're just about, the earth stuff. But it's like in these times with Neptune in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, eclipses in Pisces, so much illusion, so much confusion, so much lies and deception, and like there can even be airy fairiness, addictions, being completely out to lunch. We need that earth sign energy right now. That is needed right now. And so, yeah, maybe let us know, earth signs, if you're noticing that yet at all, like you feeling reinvigorated and re-inspired by who you are.
The feeling like, like you can just let go a bit and color outside the lines and be your wild, unique self. And then that creates kind of an emotional, like, wow, like just really being present with yourself is what I'm getting.
That's beautiful. That's so cool. So yeah, earth signs, great. New moon eclipse tomorrow for you to be setting intentions around the earth element, your work, your career, your responsibility, and your long-term goals. So happy eclipse, you guys. And next we got the fire signs. Bring in some fire.
Yeah. Did we do the fire first?
We did air first. Did we do air first? Oh, wait, sorry. We did. Yeah, you're right. Now we're doing air. Sorry, you guys.
Good. I'm glad. I was like, I hope I wasn't
brain fart.
Being an air sign and spacing it out.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're doing air, yes?
Yes, now we're doing air.
So air.
And that's our Geminis, Libras, and Aquarians.
Air signs, here we go. Oh, we've got the Empress again. Holy, that's pretty amazing.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, you saw how much I shuffled these cards. Like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Oh, air signs. Oh. So something is, all of this stormy energy gathering, I don't know, there's something happening for the air signs right now where they're really being called to bring their ideas into reality. There's something, it's almost like I'm hearing that like Mother Nature is working through us air signs right now, or there's some way that we're being gifted our ideas coming into practical application. And that is affecting all the air signs this week. And then like this real feeling like, well, I don't know. I can speak, I think, definitely about being a Gemini and having always so many ideas and so many half-finished projects, and like just to feel that you're making progress in the material realm. It's literally like so much joy gets unleashed, and a sense of feeling like you're making progress towards this ideal. I feel also like the air signs tend to be quite idealistic, right? We have these ideas, we're not as ground into practicality or deep emotion or fiery passion. We're all up in the idea realm. And so for us to feel like we're getting some of these things, or we're seeing evidence that some of our ideas are finally landing and getting put into practice. There's nothing that makes air signs happier than just like, yay, I was right. One of my ideas is actually working. So that's curious. I want to hear what the astrology is for the air signs.
That's like, I don't know. If I got those cards, I would be pretty freaking happy. If you ask
me. I'm pretty happy. It wasn't so good for us last week, right, air signs? So
yeah, we all go through the different tips and turns, each of the signs. Yeah, so for our magical air signs, you guys are having this eclipse happen in fire elemental houses. And the
Mm.
fire houses are about fun, energy, passions, and extroversion. So,
Huh.
so cool because that makes me feel like that. Is that the 10 of cups? The last
That's the 10 of Cups.
10 of cups, which I feel like is a very kind of fire. Well, it is cups, so it's related to water, but there's also that fire element of happiness, enjoyment, fun,
Mhm,
bliss,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
Optimism. So, air signs, things are looking good for you. And this is the kind of astrology that everybody wants to hear. Okay, Geminis in particular, you guys are having this eclipse in your fifth house of Leo. So, this is very positive for you. Woohoo for the year ahead. Fun and creativity and amazing time for you to showcase your gifts and talents, share
Mhm.
new business practices and ideas where you're showcasing. Yeah, that card, the 5 or 6 of Pentacles.
That's the 8, which is basically like productivity and practicality. That was one of the cards we had in the big picture for everybody.
Mm,
Yeah, very cool.
right. Yeah. And then Libra, you guys are, of course, having this eclipse in your first house, can be very big and life changing for the Libra sun, moon, and risings this time right now. Really big breakthroughs and ideas going through, like you said, Ashala, on those ideas and seeing, hey, that idea wasn't just one that was one of my many ideas, because air signs can have a lot of ideas and inspiration, things actually working out. So trust your ideas, trust your passions, trust your energy. And this is a time for you guys to be out in the world and enjoying yourselves. So, very nice for our air signs. Yay! Yay. And last but not least, we are going to move to our water signs.
Mhm.
And our water signs are the Cancers, Scorpios, and Pisces. I love how you shuffle the cards, Ashal. It's relaxing.
Is it?
It is.
Well, it's really like a lot of energy gets moved through them. And that's where people are like, yeah, you can see I definitely shuffled. A lot of cards got shuffled, and
Yeah.
the same ones turn up. There's no mistake.
Mhm.
Okay, here we go. Water signs. We're starting off with a lovely Queen of Pentacles.
Mm.
She's feeling generous. She's feeling grounded. She's feeling at home, is what I'm hearing. And like she's in the right place at the right time. And okay, so a little page of swords is the idea guy. He's like the messenger, the little page boy that has a message for you. So there could be a lot of invitations, a lot of like pay attention to what kind of communication is happening. It's interesting. We're talking about Libra. So your relationships and a lot about like messages from people where you're invited to do something or you're being told, you're being warned about something. Like it feels like there's a lot of open communication coming
Mm.
for the water signs. And then the last one, oh, wow. Okay. So there's going to be new information coming. There's going to be new opportunities, messages, connections, a lot happening through relationships, through
Mm.
like being it's very interesting because I was like, she's in the right place at the right time, being at the right place at the right time. And maybe water signs, a little bit of letting go of your strategic rigidity. So you could have had plans that were like pretty set,
Mm.
and there could be some change in those plans, and you're really being asked to look at, is this positive change? Because it's quite likely that some of those plans, the way you had the idea that you had of how you wanted them to happen,
Mhm.
is actually there's a better version of it coming. So
Mm.
you're being asked to let go of being too rigidly stuck and attached to the way you have your plans orchestrated, because there's going to be new gifts, opportunities, ideas, and messages coming this year. And this, as a result of this. So, and to really come back to this, you are in the right place at the right time.
Mm. And what is the Queen of Pentacles about, Ashala? Can you just repeat
Well, you know, she's the Earth Queen. She's
that?
very based in the, I want to say we call her the Magnet Queen. She magnetizes whatever she needs. She
Mm.
doesn't have to go out and like try to do stuff, but she's very good with, basically she magnetizes and offers. So she brings stuff in and then she disperses it.
Mm.
So she's got this natural way of attracting the right place at the right time, the right opportunity, the right message. It's like, because she's grounded.
Yeah.
And there's a lot about caring for yourself this year too, and not overextending, because water signs, the emotional connection to everyone around them and wanting to look after everybody else. The Queen of Pentacles only looks after others when all her needs are satiated.
Mm.
Yeah. But she's actually renowned as being the most generous of all the queens.
Ooh.
Because she cares for herself so well. She has a lot to share.
Right. Oh my God, that makes so much sense, Ashala. Did you want to say something else there?
Oh, that's it. That's it.
Okay. Wow. Thank you for that. So yeah, our lovely water signs are having this new moon solar eclipse in Libra happen in the water elemental houses of our emotions, healing, intuition, and spirituality. The water signs, and I am a Scorpio, are Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. We are a very, very sensitive bunch. And I love, Ashala, what you just said there with the Queen of Pentacles of, yes, it's the most generous of the queens, but they need to be taking care of themselves first. Because water signs, you are going through huge healing breakthroughs. Huge things are coming up with an eclipse in a water house, especially for, well, actually goes for any of the water houses, actually, because they all have to do with different aspects of healing. You are having things from, I'm hearing spirits say, like even the past specifically can be coming up, because it is an eclipse conjunct the South Node, and a lot of the water signs are very generous. They're kind of similar to that Queen of Pentacles, right? But as Ashala said, you have to give to yourself first, or your tap can go empty.
Yep. And that feeling that you have to, like, you know, you have to be unbending in your strategy. And if it's not working, just try harder. They're saying no. It's actually trust and wait for it. There's like so much coming to you this year, water sign. There's so much coming to you as a result of this, what's being put in motion here. You don't have to chase things. It's coming directly to you. And if it's not here today, check your inbox tomorrow.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So yeah, Cancers, you're having the eclipse in your 4th house, which is the house of Cancer. So you guys will be feeling even more maybe emotionally sensitive over the course of the next year. And things can be coming up around your family, your living situation. Scorpios, this eclipse is in your 12th house of Pisces, which is the hidden and unseen, behind the scenes, our soul, spiritual healing. And Pisces, this eclipse is in your 8th house. So for all of the water signs, I would highly recommend doing some consistent healing or therapeutic practices, if that resonates with you, to work with the things that are going to be coming up during this next year.
Incredible.
Yeah, so cool. So let's see here. Do we have any questions from anybody before we finish up? Mojo's mama says, have they mentioned the time of day for the solar eclipse tomorrow? It's at 2:49 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so that'll be exact time of the eclipse. And Six Fairy Light says, it's ASMR, the card shuffle. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Right.
If anybody's ever done tarot ASMR before.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's so relaxing. And Betty Philly says, will people be able to see the so-called second moon? Have you heard about that, Ashala?
I have. What are your feelings on it, Meg?
I actually haven't looked too into it yet, but it sounds pretty weird to me. I get like a little bit of a weird feeling about that. What do you, how do you feel?
I'm just going to pull cards on it and see
sounds good.
What's shown here. Interesting. I mean, there's a little bit here of it's very interesting. I'm almost hearing a little bit like, well, if we don't know what to do with the one moon we have, what makes us think we're going to know what to do with two moons? And there's a little bit of a feeling of like, I think what I like about a lot of this phenomena and focus on the skies and the moon cycles and the astrology and the eclipses and even like all of the sky effects, right? The northern lights and like aurora borealis all over the world being seen and even these extraordinary sky events and storms and stuff like that. It's definitely bringing our attention to the heavens. And I think, I mean, I don't know about you, Meg, you've been doing astrology for a long time. And is it strange for you to see so many people being interested in the heavens and in astrology?
In a way, yeah, that's a really good question because in a way, yes, there's definitely a shift going on where I'm even noticing it in my one-on-one readings. People who maybe aren't necessarily that woo, but they're just drawn to it and they don't even know why.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, it feels good. It feels good in a way that we are like, we're even allowing there to be an unknown.
Yeah.
Like that we're creating I'm really being drawn to that empty space there. You see that? Yeah. And it's almost like that we're letting spirit, like we're not living in a time where we have to know for sure there's only one moon and there's only one sun and there's only this and only that. It's like we're actually going, you know what? There might be stuff I don't know. There might be stuff that happens in my life that I never thought I would see. And so I think it's really the gift of this, whether it's true or not, is that it's the mystery is being invoked and evoked, right? It's like there's a mystery and we're willing to look up and be surprised by what we see. And I think that is a real beautiful, like, willingness on the part of so many people to expand their perspective of reality. And that is a big win. We do need to be this Queen of Swords. She's the discernment queen. So it's like, it goes in my world, and this is again the Libra, right? It goes to a certain point. I'm willing to entertain almost anything to a point where it's like, okay, I could see there be some value in that. I think it's really valuable that we open ourselves to the great mystery. And also there's a point where I go, oh, okay, so what difference does it make? Like, it's almost like how does focusing on that help us or hinder us? And if it is going to help us, how does it help us? And do we need to give our power to it in order for it to help us? Or do we just need to be aware of it and then it helps us? And if it's going to down the road lead us into being hindered in some way, then I think we can say, you know what, I'm rather going to focus on other things and not give this a lot of my energy. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. That makes total sense. I love that. Thank you, Betty, so much for the question. And we're now at the hour mark of our show. It went by really fast. And before we finish up, we want to mention as well that tickets for the Mystic Conference are available now over on beyondmystic.net. All the VIP tickets are sold out. Can you believe that? So it's the general admission and also online tickets. If you can't come in person, there's also an online option. So you guys can go check that out over at beyondmystic.net. And we'll be doing live lectures. There will be keynote speakers, workshops, in-person readings, and a lot more. So we're so excited for that. It'll be great.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in for another As Above, So Below show. And we will see you on the other side of these eclipses next week. Ashala, love doing this show with you. Thank you so much.
Blessings. Bye for now, everybody.
Yeah, bye. Love you guys.
Mm-hmm.